Could David Jacobs end up at Tennessee? The Vols and the Miami Hurricanes are pushing hard for the five-star prospect. What's going on, Vol Nation? Welcome back to another video. Yes, sir, man. Appreciate everybody tuning in, man. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and hype up the video. All right, man. Let me know other content you guys want to see. All right, and also my show drops today at 7 p.m., so stay tuned for that. All college football. But today we're talking David Jacobs, and I want to show you guys just real quick before we get into David Jacobs. Excuse me, and Tennessee obviously trying to flip for him. Please go check out this most recent video right here, as you guys can see. I broke down the film of the four-star quarterback, Caden Kraft. But before I get into that, I want you guys to see Smokey, man. Shout out to my guy, Smokey. He always is responding, reacting, giving great comments. I asked in the next video that he wanted to see Balls Leonard, and this is what he basically had to say. I asked him myself. He says, I said, what's the next Tennessee video you want to see, Smokey? Can you do David Jacobs in Tennessee, Miami? Both schools are desperately trying to flip him. So that's where we are today and why we're doing this video, okay? And both teams are pushing hard. Now, before we talk about Tennessee, let's bring Miami into the equation, talk about what was going on there. Because for Miami, this was a team that they was trying to get him early on. That felt like that was a spot he was going to go. Right, Miami was applying pressure, and trying to land him down in Coral Gables, right? And that's where it felt like he was going. To Ohio State, you could see his dad's face when he made the commitment announcement. Kind of felt like, okay, cool, but not what we really expected. So the Hurricanes have always been in this race. I think they will continue to be. Yes, they got five-star prospects down there. They got guys that they pursued hard from South Carolina and several other places in order to kind of bolster their trenches as they move into a new direction. With some of their older guys and veterans obviously leaving, they got to get some new young pups in there. So I think Miami's going to always be in this conversation as it pertains to David Jacobs, and they feel like he could be a game worker and a potential difference maker for them in the future, right? But how does Tennessee fit into this equation? Tennessee has joined the race, basically, right? Tennessee has positioned themselves in order to be in this race. Here it is, according to Steve Wilflong of Rivals. This is what he had to say. While the elder Jacob said there isn't much to see right now with the Vols and his son's recruitment, I do think Tennessee has been building traction from the family's relationship to Rodney Gardner. He coached Jacob's father at Georgia. To proximity from home and belief in the program, he wrote recently, obviously via via Rivals, right? So why is that important? We all know that Tennessee wants to stick it to Ohio State. The reason I say that is no one's talking about this enough, but this is a budding rivalry between these two teams, right? Like they went and got Tennessee had Legend Bay, right? Ohio State flips him late with the whole miscommunication between him and his mom. Boom. Tennessee just beat out Ohio State as it pertains to David Gabriel Georges. That is who Ohio State wanted, right? But coming to Tennessee, he knew he would be the guy, right? Going to Ohio State, he would have been a guy, right? And the relationships was very important for him as well. Now you're telling me in another recruiting cycle, the same recruiting cycle that you got DGG, you could potentially do it and stick it to Ohio State again, right? So I think this is a budding rivalry nobody talks about in the recruiting world and obviously even in the football world. I know they don't play all the time, but it's very interesting to see how the last few cycles have went and how recruits have flipped and decided to go to other places. So this is relevant into this topic because when you look at Tennessee, they're trying to do it again, right? And they're trying to get a guy that is big time for obviously the Ohio State Buckeyes that has a lot of their class, and it's a pretty impressive class, is centered around the trench talent, right? It's centered around elite players down in the trenches, right? Marcus Fataku, Wyatt Smith, Carlos May, all are committed to Ohio State. That was a big part of their class and them pushing, and where they actually have been, right? Now, when we talk about classes, before we get into some more, obviously, context of this when it pertains to the Vols, right? For Tennessee, this is massive because is this a bad class for Tennessee? No, it's not. It's a decent to solid class, but this is not what Tennessee does. Tennessee is always in the top 10, top 15. We seen 2026 class was very special for them. This is what they do. The reason this is vital and important is because you're looking up and down these commits. Excuse me. If things can change, they don't have an edge rusher, guys. There is no edge rusher currently committed to the Tennessee Vols program. They have a bunch of cornerbacks. They got a couple wide receivers in there, a couple defensive backs, and some offensive linemen to go into the fray as well. They have no edge rusher, right? So getting a David Jacobs would be 2 5 stars in the same cycle, essentially, which is usually what Tennessee's able to do, right? David Sanders, Gabriel Osenda, Faison Brandon last cycle. Like, that is usually what this team does when it comes to their recruiting and bringing in guys and landing guys to come on the campus, right? So that will give them 2 for this cycle, and that could potentially be a top 15 class. That's how big time, David Jacobs is. Or you could even be on the outside looking in on the top 10 class if you were able to land him, right? And the big thing I want to talk about here is the relationships, right? We talk about Rodney Gardner, right? We talk about how good he's been on the defensive line and all that stuff. He's looking right now and he's like, well, we got some chinks in the armor, even this year, right? He's talked about the inconsistency from the group, right? Not having the same level of a consistency. I guarantee you go get a David Jacobs. He's gonna come in there day one. I ain't saying he's gonna start, but he's gonna be in that rotation. He's gonna be getting some kind of playing time next year, right? Because that is the standard that he sets for himself, and that is what he's gonna want to do. And if you're Tennessee, it's wide open. Yeah, you got some young, talented guys, but he's going to be able to command the room. And that relationship is everything, I think. You know what I'm saying? So that is going to play a factor in my humble opinion. I also want to talk about this part right here. This is what he basically had to say here. I have a good relationship with Coach Rodney Gardner, that other Jacob says. He's like a dad to me, but that's all. That's really going on with that, right? So obviously, you know what I'm saying, good relationship there. But pretty much what he's saying here is, hey, I'm going to allow my son to make this decision. He made the best decision for him. Rodney Gardner, me and him go back. He coached me at Georgia. We cool. But this is my son's basically decision. He's going to decide what happens, okay? This is also what Steve Wiltfong had to say, too. He says, I certainly don't think those rumors are coming out of thin air. I think that Tennessee program has entered the mix for David DJ Jacobs going into his senior year and look like the biggest threat to Ohio State. The family is saying most of the right things about the Buckeyes. The one thing that they're not saying is that the recruitment is shut down. Very true, right? All of that obviously matters, you know what I'm saying, to him. You know what I'm saying? All of that obviously matters when it comes down to the situation, right? Then we're going to put back in Miami into this piece as well. Great piece, obviously, written here by College Football HQ on SI. Mario Cristobal has the best flip operation in the cycle. Miami pulled cornerback Dante Wright from Georgia. Yes, they did. Jaden Bryant from LSU. Cornerback Akeem Hall from Oregon. And receiver Eli Woodard from USC. The Hurricanes sit third nationally. They also pay at the top of the market with the quarterback Darian Minshew valued at $6.5 million. However, Miami already has signed a 5-star edge rusher in Bryant. Yes, they have. Tennessee has no such interest at the position. So to me, yes, the rich gets richer, but what Miami want to fork that amount of money to the edge rusher position, right? Again, there's going to be some questions, there's going to be answers, but will they look at that position as more so the portal, right? Do they look at that position more so of, hey, this is what we're going to do. Hey, this is what we're going to decide, right? And we're going to go here instead of going youth. All depends on what Miami wants to do, because they did that this past cycle. They went and got Damon Wilson, right? So to me, it feels like, why would you pay that much money for two young, unproven guys that you don't know what the hell's going to happen? All right. That's why it feels like Miami, yes, they're in it. Yes, they could make a push, but we got to see. Now, here is some insight here. What Ohio State has already paid for DJ Jacobs. Buckeyes are not standing still. National recruiting reporter Pete Nakos laid out the terms. All right. Sources have told On3 that Jacobs is set to sign a multi-year deal with Ohio State, paying north of $1 million annually, Nakos wrote. That number lost to Tennessee once already. Gabriel Georges took roughly $2 million over 3 years, plus family travel to choose the Vols over, obviously, the Buckeyes. So
at Slots LV, we're all
that part out. We don't have time for that. But basically, you're seeing these guys, and I think why these recruitments are going to be a lot more set in stone, and you're not going to see as much flips, because a lot of these guys are signing these multi-year deals, right? Whenever they commit, right, or not too long after, right? Like, these teams aren't waiting a chance and to see, oh yeah, you're going to flip, but you gave me your verbal commitment. I think these teams are trying to get you to contractually sign, you know what I'm saying, that you're going to be going to this program in this school. The money is paid, whatever it is. I don't know if I couldn't tell you the contractual stuff and how that goes with college football. I don't know if, like, you know what I'm saying, you get paid a certain amount once you sign. I couldn't tell y'all. I really don't know, right? But let's say they pay you a small percentage of it. Let's say they pay you $100,000 to kind of lock in your word. This is where you're going to go, right? That's going to be less flips down the line in December. We see flips all the damn time, right? But I think that might flip culture a little bit, especially if they're signing a multi-year deals and you're making over $1 million annually over a 3-year term. That makes obviously a very big difference in my humble opinion. So it's going to be interesting to see, right, if he signs a multi-year deal. But like Will Fong pointed out to, there's nothing really set in stone just yet, right? The recruitment is not shut down just yet. And I think it's smart because you want to keep that open, right? You want to keep that at bay and you want to keep that obviously at the top of the frame of your mind, right? So to me, I think Tennessee does have a chance here, right? But they're going to have to push harder. Got to get David Jacobs on campus, right? Got to show him, you know what I'm saying, how important and special he is. And if you're starting to see that, then they have a legit chance in order to make some noise, right? If he's not taking any visits, even game day visits, I don't think, you know what I'm saying, it's going to happen. But if he's able to take some, see some of Tennessee's big games like against Texas this upcoming year and several other big time games at home that they're going to have at Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, then I think that makes all the difference in the world for Tennessee. And I think that will only help out their chances to obviously land David Jacobs and really stick it to Ohio State for the second recruit of this 2027 cycle and really help bolster this class more because there's not a bunch of recruits, but it's a little bit more top heavy. But not as top heavy as we know Tennessee to be when we look at previous classes and the multiple 5 stars they had, 3 to 4, compared to maybe just 2 of this cycle. But I'm telling you, David Jacobs will be a game changer for the Vols and everything that they want to do going forward as a program and as a team, especially with just the edge rusher position, the defensive line kind of being up and down, and the inconsistencies that we've seen this year in fall camp per Rodney Gardner. So I think all of that's going to matter. So for those that ask like Smokey, I think they sit in a decent position. Can they get them on campus? Right. Number one, for game day visits. Number two, can they continue to build that relationship with him and Gardner? Can they get tight? Can they get closer? Right. And three, what's their plan? What do they have out for him? And maybe I'm not saying money is everything, but maybe they up the stakes a little bit in that category as well. Maybe they pay instead of 1 million, Ohio State's paying, maybe they go 1.5. We know Tennessee has a pretty good NIL, you know what I'm saying, valuation NIL landscape, and they're gonna pay you as much as they can. You know what I'm saying? And more importantly, if you work and you work hard, they're gonna let you get on that field, man. That is what the Vols do. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how things play out for him. But if you Tennessee, you do need to get at least one edge rusher of this cycle, and there ain't no better edge rusher. I mean, I would say they neck and neck. David Jacobs and obviously KJ Green, neck and neck, bro. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I feel like that's what it would be, and they sit at a pretty good spot, man. And they're pushing to flip them. I think Tennessee has a shot. They really do. But that's gonna do it for today's video. Appreciate everybody tuning in, man. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hype the video, join and become a member today, and please get active with me in the comments, man. Let me know other content videos y'all want to see, man, and we will get it done every single time on the channel. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one, and remember, as always, peace and blessings.